All right, folks, let's get into some NFL discussion, and we'll talk about the latest NFL headlines here on the Cam Rogers Show. Today's top story surrounds Colin Kaepernick and that ongoing collusion case against the National Football League. What is the story? Well, Kaepernick's lawyer is hinting at new evidence and perhaps a witness that could totally turn this collusion case on its head. So Attorney Garagos suggested a witness has concrete evidence proving that the NFL owners conspired to keep Kaepernick and Eric Reid, by the way, from being signed. This is what he said, quote, "I would stay tuned because this case is about to take a dramatic turn." When asked what that meant, Garagos didn't elaborate, suggested, quote, "Somebody has decided they were going to dime out the NFL for what they were doing." A witness proving collusion would certainly contradict the NFL's position, because the current position of the NFL is the following. Each team decides whether a player can contribute to a team. So if neither player has been signed, it's because teams don't think they can help. That is the NFL's position, which is, by the way, just laughable. Now, if this were to take a dramatic turn, there must be some really serious, damning evidence here in favor of Kaepernick and against the National Football League, because I've said this before, how difficult it is in collusion cases to actually prove them to be correct. You need really concrete, hard evidence, concrete as you see on your screen there, because you need recordings, you need audio tapes, transcripts, documents, correspondence among NFL owners to prove that that's what they're trying to do, to keep Kaepernick out of the league, to keep Eric Reid out of the league as well. And we'll pull up the statement from Garagos so you guys can see it on screen too. And this news is also interesting because Garagos did his interview on CNN recently, and that was after the Wall Street Journal report came out, which described how the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is influencing the NFL's owners to implement the new Anthem policy and kind of shun players' ability to kneel during the national anthem. There's what Garagos said, and the timing is interesting. That I can tell you. Who leaked the depositions to the Wall Street Journal? Garagos, or one of Garagos's cronies or henchmen, or however you want to put it. I mean, it's the Kaepernick camp that is going through all of this. So perhaps there is more to be known, and we'll stay tuned indeed. The more this goes on, I think the more people will realize that this isn't just a stunt by Colin Kaepernick to get back at the NFL. He firmly believes the NFL owners are colluding against him. Why would he be fighting so hard to win this case if he actually just wanted to get some PR or, just take a stab at the NFL? No, he's trying to win this. And Garagos going on CNN with an interview and this Wall Street Journal report that is coming out. It's all very interesting. Do you think the NFL owners are colluding to keep Kaepernick out of the league? Let me know in comments on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. I've got the broadcast on my laptop right in front of me, folks. I'll be sure to track what you guys say. But it's a polarizing topic, a lot of opinions on many sides here in regards to this. But the story is Kaepernick's lawyer is hinting at a witness coming forward and essentially snitching on the NFL with concrete evidence to prove, or to at least suggest, that the NFL owners are colluding against the former San Francisco 49er, Colin Kaepernick, and keeping him out of the NFL. One of the top storylines we'll be tracking here in the month of June. So stay tuned on that. So in that same vein, Kenny Stills, who has been a frequent kneeler during the national anthem, still hasn't ruled out kneeling this season, despite the new policy which states players must stand during the national anthem if they are on the football field. If they are not, they can do whatever they well please, because they'll be in the locker room. That is an option as well. But Stills has not ruled out kneeling on the football field, saying, quote, "When the time comes, I'll make a decision." So he's still pondering all of this, and Stills has kneeled for every game over the last 2 seasons and actually got some support from owner Stephen Ross before. And if you may recall, Stephen Ross was named in the Wall Street Journal report about President Trump's influence on the new national anthem policy, where Stephen Ross essentially felt like he had no choice but to push forward this new policy because he didn't want the boycotts, the bad PR from the president and sponsors fleeing. Stills didn't outwardly criticize the league or the president here, so I must note that, but he did say the following, quote, "I do understand that the message has been changed, but I also understand that as the NFL being the most watched sport in the United States and one of the most watched sports in the world, they have an opportunity to set the bar and set the standard and change the narrative and write the narrative how they want to." So if Kenny Stills kneels during week 1 of the NFL season, the Dolphins could be subject to fines, and then the Dolphins could also implement further punishment during the NFL season. So it could be a trickle-down effect where the NFL punishes the Dolphins, then the Dolphins punish Kenny Stills. One of the top storylines is who is going to stand and who is going to kneel. Should NFL players be allowed to kneel during the national anthem? Let me know in the reaction poll. Give me a heart for let them kneel. Give me a like for let them stand. Be sure to expand upon yourselves in the comments section as well. But we do know one player still not ruling out kneeling during the national anthem in the 2018 regular season. And this could get muddier and more divisive as we go along because now money is involved. Right? Before it wasn't. Before it was just you were encouraged to stand during the anthem, but if you were to kneel, there was no punishment. Now there is punishment by way of monetariness or money, or however you want to put it, in that there could be more division because of it. Right? Because if money's involved, it's a whole new ball game. And if the Dolphins are getting fined, Kenny Stills could see some dents in the old wallet there if he does kneel during the national anthem. So we'll see what happens. He hasn't ruled it out yet. Stay tuned on that. All right, let's continue on here in the latest NFL headlines. Mychal Kendricks is a free man because he was recently cut by the Philadelphia Eagles because of, quote, disagreements, which is the rumor out there. He's visiting the Vikings, Raiders, and Browns this week. Great linebacker, too. Had a really good 2017 ranking as the 9th best linebacker according to Pro Football Focus. So all 3 team visits make some sense from various perspectives. You got the Vikings could join brother Eric Kendricks there. If he goes there, it's like the rich getting richer on the defensive side of the ball for the Minnesota Vikings. For the Raiders, could be the best opportunity to start right away, despite Tahir Whitehead and Derek Johnson being there at the linebacking core. And then for the Browns, perhaps the largest monetary opportunity, where Cleveland has $67.9 million in salary cap space. So could get a big fat contract from the Cleveland Browns if Mychal Kendricks decides to go there. You know, I wasn't a big fan of the Eagles cutting him. It didn't really make much sense to me. I know they were kind of strapped for salary cap space, but he had a really good last year, so to just cut him kind of was weird. Like, at least try to trade him or something like that. But whatever the case, Mychal Kendricks is on the free agency tour as we stand right now. Perhaps some more teams could surface as he goes throughout this process, but as we look at things now, it's the Vikings, Raiders, and the Browns as the favorites here as we go along. All right, let's go to the next headline here. It's about Johnny Manziel. He's not even going to start for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, folks. June Jones says Jeremiah Masoli remains the starter and says that Manziel isn't ready to run the full offense yet, and Manziel taking it in stride. I'm going to have to earn my stripes up here. Haha, I get it. Tiger Cats, Frosted Flakes, good stuff, Manziel. By the way, total tangent here. I was making breakfast this morning. I thought I bought shredded wheat. Ladies and gentlemen, I bought frosted shredded wheat, which has sugar, and I don't eat sugar, and I can't believe I did that, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. So if anybody likes frosted shredded wheat, hit me up at Mr. Rogers99. Maybe text me. DM me, I'll give you my phone number, whatever the case, but somebody needs to get that out of the apartment, please. All right, but back to Johnny Manziel here. I love the way in which he's going about all of this because he has the right mindset. First of all, he didn't rush things in trying to make that NFL comeback happen, and clearly he's not trying to rush things with the CFL either, right? Like, he didn't say anything bad about, well, maybe I should be the lead guy because, well, I've earned it being an NFL quarterback and a high draft pick and all this stuff. But no, he understands that he's back to level playing field with all the other players on the CFL. And he's going to have to earn it. So he understands that. And for now, he's a backup quarterback, which is kind of interesting to say. Will Johnny Manziel ever return to the NFL? That is the big-time million-dollar question I want you guys to answer. Give me a heart for absolutely, a like for no, and I will say, I don't think he will. I really want him to, but I don't think he will, at least as a starting quarterback in the NFL ever again. Maybe he could be a backup option or something like that, and maybe he is brought in for some workouts just so teams can kind of scout him out and see what he can do. But return to the NFL in a starting capacity, probably not. Return to the NFL in general, probably. So that's kind of where I fall there with Manziel. But the headline right now is he's a backup quarterback for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, team he recently signed with on a 2-year deal. All right, so from one quarterback to another, let's talk about Andrew Luck, who has yet to throw the pigskin this offseason. So Peyton Manning has recently chimed in on the matter, saying that Luck needs to get a lot of reps. Quote, getting as many reps as possible is key. And, well, the problem is Luck hasn't really been doing that. Manning said he believes in the theory of 10,000 reps, which is based off of Malcolm Gladwell's principle that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become world-class in something. So there you go. You learned something today, folks, if you haven't heard about that. Andrew Luck, like I mentioned, yet to throw a football this offseason, was out for the entire 2017 season due to a shoulder injury. And Manning, I guess, speaking from experience here, if you may recall, missed all of 2011 with a neck injury. That's when the likes of Curtis Painter were playing quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. And, of course, they got the #1 overall pick, and the rest is history. This injury, ironically, led to the start, of course, of Andrew Luck's career. So interesting in how all the dominoes kind of fell there. But if Luck is healthy and ready to rock for the Colts, by the time, say, training camp comes around, I don't know, guys, watch out for the Indianapolis Colts because they could be an interesting team to watch out for in the AFC South. I know the AFC South is very, very tough to predict at this juncture. Tennessee Titans look pretty good. The Texans are getting Deshaun Watson back. Jacksonville was just in the AFC Championship game. And the Colts are definitely not the most talented team in the NFL. But you've seen before how good quarterbacks can carry teams, right? Aaron Rodgers did it for a few years with the Green Bay Packers when their roster wasn't as good as, other rosters out there. Andrew Luck can kind of do the same thing, same principle there. He played behind really bad offensive lines and took the Colts to the playoffs a couple times. So we'll see what happens. I still think Andrew Luck will be good to go for Week 1 of 2018. But for fantasy football people out there, I wouldn't draft him at all. All right, let's go to the next headline on the list here. So you guys probably heard about Cassius Marsh calling out the Patriots and talking about how the Patriots aren't really fun and, Bill Belichick's too grumpy and all this stuff. Well, we have some players coming to the defense, more specifically Dont'a Hightower, who agrees with the head coach of the New England Patriots in Bill Belichick about priorities. Here's what Hightower recently said. Quote, it's not for everybody. It's definitely harder than most places, but that's part of it. Went on to say, it's not Bill's job to make this fun and this atmosphere fun. It's the guys around it. Hightower says he has fun with his teammates in and outside of practice. Now we're talking about just two people here. This is a very small sample size. We're talking about Cassius Marsh and we're talking about Dont'a Hightower. Okay, so two different sides of the story here. But I'm going to tell you why Cassius Marsh has a better argument. Let's look at Rob Gronkowski and the Instagram post that he made when Danny Amendola left for the Miami Dolphins. Do you guys remember that caption? I've said it before on this show, where Gronk said to Amendola, go be happy and be free, and all caps, happy and free. Subliminal messaging, folks, okay? There's something going on there with that. And then Tom Brady not showing up for OTAs, which is not his MO. And Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk, who is a very well-respected insider in this industry, saying that maybe Tom Brady has just had it with Bill Belichick. And I will go to another point. You remember the New York Daily News coming out with an article during the offseason, beginning of the offseason, that said that Bill Belichick was ready to seize upon the vacancy left by Ben McAdoo and the New York Giants there in the head coaching position, that Bill Belichick was looking into getting that position. So all I'm saying is there is more and more smoke, and perhaps there is some fire here, and Patriots fans, come at me. I hear you. But all I'm saying is I'm just laying out evidence after evidence after evidence. This isn't just me spewing BS. This is me literally pointing to concrete evidence that supports what I am saying. The Gronkowski caption on Instagram. Cassius Marsh's comments about the Patriots. All right, the Mike Florio story about the New England Patriots and how maybe Tom Brady has had it with Bill Belichick. The Tom Brady not showing up to OTAs. I mean, all of it just falls in line with what I am saying here, but I could be completely off, and I will say that I could be, for sure. I mean, maybe all is right with the world with the New England Patriots, and I'm just, you know, some goofball. But, hey, we'll see what happens with the Patriots as we go throughout mandatory minicamp and training camp and then preseason and all this stuff, because maybe for the first time, all is not right with the world with the Patriots. I know this seems to be a theme year in and year out. Oh, it's ending now. This is it. Time to put the nail in the coffin in the Patriots dynasty. Maybe not so much. All right, so there you go. That's the latest there. All right, let's get to the Dallas Cowboys, who have some hopes for one David Irving, defensive tackle there, who's a good player, and Cowboys are hoping that Irving can get his act together. So Irving has been in and out of offseason practices. Defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli recently saying, you'd love to have him here, no question, but the guys who are here, I'm going all out. So he was placed on a second-round restriction tender for $2.91 million. Has struggled with off-the-field issues here, investigated for domestic violence allegations. That case was later closed after girlfriend recanted her allegations, kind of a Reuben Foster type situation. He was also suspended for 4 games last season for violating the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs. So undeniable talent, which is why the Cowboys are hoping that this guy can get back on the field on a consistent basis. In 35 games, Irving has had 11.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 33 tackles. Cowboys are hoping that Irving can be a consistent player from a mental standpoint and, of course, from an on-the-field standpoint as well. By the way, I like the front line for the Dallas Cowboys. Big reason why I actually have them as a breakout team in 2018. I think they have the pieces there to be a legit squad. All right, let's continue on here in these NFL headlines. And the Chargers hype continues on. One LaDainian Tomlinson, NFL Network analyst, and of course, an all-pro in his own right, running back formerly of the Chargers, saying that the Chargers are Super Bowl contenders on paper. Like, okay? When you say that, it's almost like saying, well, yeah, they look like they're a good team, and it looks like they're going to be in the Super Bowl, but that doesn't mean they're going to be in the Super Bowl. So it's almost like a cop-out, like, yeah, I'm kind of predicting that they're going all the way, but I'm kind of not. And taking a look at some of these key contributors here, hey, the argument can be made that the Chargers are going to be a legit team. Gordon, Keenan Allen is coming off a great year. Melvin Ingram is an unbelievable edge rusher, and Joey Bosa's there as well. Phillip Rivers still playing at a high level, and Casey Hayward just cashed out because guess what? He ranked #1 among all qualifying cornerbacks, according to Pro Football Focus a year ago. So Tomlinson says the Chargers have a top quarterback, a top defense, and Keenan Allen. So that's his reasoning there. Called quarterback Phillip Rivers best in the AFC West and one of the best in the NFL. Pointed out Jason Verrett, who's coming back from injury, Casey Hayward, Derwin James, whom the Chargers drafted at very good value in that first round. A couple of strong defensive ends as well. And Keenan Allen coming off a 102 reception, 1,393 yard, 6 touchdown season. So over 1,300 yards for Keenan Allen, which is like out of this world, and nobody seemed to talk about it, by the way. In addition, how about this? Broncos legend John Elway, current GM, called the Chargers the team to beat in the AFC West. So when Your foe says that maybe, by the way, it's a mind game to like bolster the egos of the Chargers, but on another side of things, maybe it's a show of respect. Will the Chargers make it to the Super Bowl? Give me a heart for heck no. Give me a like for sure. They got the pieces there. They got the defense that is built for the modern day NFL with the edge rushers and the cornerbacks. Trevor Williams, haven't mentioned him. He's a good player. Desmond King, you saw him in the photo B-roll that we were flashing. He's a good player too. And I feel like I've fallen victim to this whole Chargers hype thing because I have them as a breakout team next year. But, I mean, you look at the roster, and it's very, very convincing. I look back to that Dallas Cowboys game, and, like, that's what the Chargers can do, if you recall from Thanksgiving, where the Chargers just absolutely balled out in that game. So, LaDainian Tomlinson certainly thinks L.A. could make a big-time move. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. All right, how about this headline here? Delaware has legalized sports betting, the first new state, so discounting Nevada, to offer sports betting here. Officials said Delaware had no legal hurdles preventing them for starting full sports betting, and wagering will begin on June 5th in 3 locations, beat out states like New Jersey, Mississippi, and West Virginia to launch this. And Governor John Carney saying the following, quote, Delaware has all necessary legal and regulatory authority to move forward with a full-scale sports gaming operation, and we look forward to next week's launch. So there you go. First state to take charge here after the Supreme Court ruling that is basically legalizing sports betting from a national federal level. All right, next headline here. Jordan Howard expected to be the main guy for the Chicago Bears at the running back position. Very important news from a fantasy football perspective as all of you gear up for your mock drafts and whatnot. Head coach Matt Nagy said Howard will get a big workload, and the guy has had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 2,435 yards and 15 rushing touchdowns so far in his young career. Also has worked on his receiving skills, which is kind of the knock on him. Had only 52 catches for 423 yards and 1 touchdown over the last 2 seasons combined. Also included 2 very important drops in a couple of those games. Howard says Nagy has helped him improve his catching. And I'll tell you what, Matt Nagy is one of the great offensive minds out there that we just don't really talk about. So with him as the head coach, I think it's really important for Jordan Howard, but also the offense in general for the Chicago Bears, with a couple of new characters on that offensive side, more notably Allen Robinson, the big-ticket item in the wide receiver sphere this free agency period. But there you go. Looks like Jordan Howard is going to get the workload, so Tariq Cohen's still there, a couple of other running backs that are capable. But as of now, Howard is the guy. So if he continues to play well into mandatory minicamp and into training camp, he could make a very strong argument that Howard will make the 3-down kind of situations all that much better for the Chicago Bears, and also make it easier on Mitchell Trubisky because you don't want him throwing the football too many times either.